Jesus, the Son of the living God, led 3 of his closest disciples, Peter, James, and John, to the top of a high and isolated mountain. Far from the distractions of the crowds, in that imposing silence of the peak, he dedicated himself to prayer. And it was there, at the highest point of the mountain, while praying, that something extraordinary and divine was revealed before the astonished eyes of the 3. Jesus' face began to shine with a light as intense as the sun. His clothes, once simple, became a blinding white, more radiant than anything they had ever seen. On that peak, Jesus revealed himself no longer as the carpenter's son, but as his celestial glory, the essence of the eternal Son of God. The disciples could barely sustain their gaze, overcome by a mix of awe and terror. Suddenly, 2 figures appeared beside Jesus, enveloped in light. Peter, James, and John recognized them. They were Moses and Elijah. Moses, the lawgiver, and Elijah, the greatest of the prophets, conversed with Jesus about his departure, his exodus, that he was about to fulfill in Jerusalem, his death and resurrection. It was as if the law and the prophets were there to witness that everything in them pointed to Christ, the fulfillment of every divine promise. The history of salvation converged on that mountain. Impulsive Peter, amidst his awe and fascination, suggested building 3 tents, as if to prolong that sacred moment. But before he finished speaking, a luminous cloud completely enveloped them. From it, a powerful and resonant voice echoed, shaking the mountain and the disciples' hearts. "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Listen to him." The same voice of God that had manifested at Jesus' baptism, now on the mountaintop, reaffirmed his identity and divine authority. Terror gripped Peter, James, and John. They fell face down on the ground, crushed by the grandeur of that moment. But Jesus, with his incomparable tenderness, approached them. He touched them gently and said, "Arise, and do not be afraid." When they finally mustered the courage to lift their eyes, the cloud and the figures had vanished. There was only Jesus, in his familiar form, with his glory now veiled. The descent from the mountain was in silence, heavy with the magnitude of what they had witnessed. Jesus commanded them not to tell anyone what they had seen, until the Son of Man had risen from the dead. That moment on the Mount of Transfiguration was not merely a demonstration of power. It was a glimpse, a preview of the glory that would come after the path of the cross. Jesus was about to head to Jerusalem for suffering, death, and finally the resurrection on the 3rd day. The Transfiguration offered a flash of hope and victory that would sustain them through the imminent darkness. What the disciples witnessed on that mountain would strengthen them in the days of pain and doubt. And what we, today, learn is a fundamental truth. Before the glory comes the cross. But for those who listen to the voice of God's beloved Son, there is promise, there is unwavering hope, and there is eternal salvation. A truth that echoes through the centuries, calling us to listen and follow.